Destigmatized Mental Health Podcast, Season 5, Episode 2. I'm here with Luz, Angelica, and Damaris. Ladies, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Again, so we have Luz, right? And then we have Angelica, right? And then we have Damaris right over here. All right, so we have everyone knows everyone. How long have you guys known each other for? I guess we'll kind of start with you, Luz.
I call her D. She goes by D. I know her since March, actually, when I started the club. And then Angelica, I know her, I want to say July.
Yeah, July.
Since July. Oh, you guys have known each other for a fairly short amount of time. That's safe to say, right?
Yeah.
Got you. Luz, I'm super curious. I'm a huge fan of what you've been doing with this girl-run Bakersfield club. It sounds like it started from sisterhood and it's kind of spread like wildfire. Tell me a little bit as to what got you to want to start this club and how has it spread like wildfire? And tell us about the origins.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying all those kind words. So the origin of this club started with me just wanting to meet women, wanting to meet more friends. And I actually went to school out of town. So when I came back, I was pretty sad, pretty much like I don't know what to do. So then I got a little better. And then in December of 2024, that's when I started running and I really loved it. And then I ran my first half marathon in January 2025. I just wanted to create a community for, like I said, women, and just create a safe space for us to run and just enjoy time together. It was mainly, I wanted to create a community that I felt comfortable with and I wanted to be a part of, and I just wanted other women to have that as well.
That sounds cool. And you said that you went to school out of town. Where'd you end up going to school?
I went to Sonoma State.
Okay, gotcha. So, but grew up in Bakersfield, correct?
Yes.
And then how long were you out of California?
No, it's actually in California. It's in NorCal. So it's 5 hours away from here.
Okay.
And I was out there. It was kind of disrupted because of COVID. But I was out there for like 3-ish years, 2.5, because I did come back when COVID happened. And yeah, I grew up in Bakersfield, but I'm born in Mexico.
Gotcha. I'm sure coming back to Bakersfield, it was, especially after COVID, it was a little bit of a change.
Definitely, yeah.
And then what about the two of you, Angelica? How was it like? I mean, have you always been a runner, or has it been this is something new for you?
Not always been a runner. So I'm from LA originally. I moved to Bakersfield for school in, I want to say 2014 to do my undergrad and then master's. And then I left way before COVID hit. I graduated in 2019. All to say that with the student union at CSUB, I loved running the track and it was always fun. And then when I moved back to LA in 2019, I joined a girls run club out there. So that was fun. So then when I moved back here last October, I was trying to find community. And then I don't know if I found them on TikTok or Instagram, but since then in July, I've been going almost every Saturday.
Gotcha. So back and forth from LA, how different is Bakersfield from LA?
I think you're asking the wrong person because I like it here better only because I'm more, I guess, like introverted, a lot more like calm. LA never fit me, or I never fit in LA. So coming here has been better for me.
Yeah,
at least.
I could feel that. I could feel how just being in a fast moving environment was different and being able to go ahead and kind of come here. And what's interesting about this group is that for the most 3 out of the 4 of us are social workers. And then we have Damaris, who's the occupational therapist, right?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been running for?
I started running when I was little, so in elementary school, and I ran through middle school and high school. But as soon as I graduated and kind of started going to school, I dropped it, just activity in general. But once I went to grad school, I think that's where I really needed a way to de-stress and just kind of mentally clear my head and get a kind of restart every day. So I started running there with a couple of classmates, and I also joined a run club down south. It was a co-ed run, and they would run by the beach every Saturday. And they also had other events. They had like rock climbing on some days, hiking, but the only one that really worked with my schedule was the runs. And I really identified with them and their kind of motivation to keep moving and socialize. And it was just really fun to run out with them. So once I graduated and I came back to Bakersfield, I wanted to join another group like that. My sister and I started running together at first, and then we kind of tried a few groups here and there. And I heard of Girls Run Bakersfield on Instagram. And from the first day that we attended our run there, we just fell in love with the environment. The girls who were there were very kind to us, very welcoming, and just very supportive, and kind of delivering even a better atmosphere than I think I had ever experienced. So I think I've been going consistently ever since, missing maybe one or two here, but for the most part, I think I found a spot where running has become a safe space that we get to meet a lot of new people at. It's been a good experience.
That sounds really awesome to hear. It sounds like for you, Luz, it was really important to create that community. And then for the rest of you, it was really important to join that community. I mean, it sounds like it was kind of like a safe space, um, and there was a major need for it. In the mental health field, we talk about this third space, a place that's outside of the home and work where people can really truly be themselves. I'm curious for you, Luz, and I'll go around and ask the group this question. Why is this run club a more effective third space for mental health in comparison to, say, the traditional gym or even a clinical support group?
So it's a perfect way to say this, because when I started this club, it was a full-time worker and full-time student. So I was either at work or school 7 days a week, just all the time. So I wanted a third space and I needed a third space. So running became that for me. And it was easier for me to just go on a run than, I don't know, drive to my gym. And that takes more time for me. And I also feel safer, and I don't feel judged at all when I'm, at the run club and things like that. So that was really important for me and for my mental health as well. And I'm always mindful of, how I speak and what I say and how I treat others. So just hearing that they feel comfortable, it's really nice.
I'm sure that was the goal for you to be able
Yeah.
to go ahead and create that safe environment. Or, I mean, it's really cool to me to go ahead and see this group to go ahead and kind of flourish the way that it did. What was it about this specific community that made you want to go ahead and be an advocate for other runners or like-minded women?
Yeah. So, I just started on Instagram, and I wanted to meet other women as well, like-minded women, people that enjoy running and just moving their bodies, staying active. And it was really important for me because I feel like I wanted to create a community where everyone felt safe. And yeah, that was just my main goal. I wanted all the girls to feel safe.
Gotcha. And going back to that third space question for you, Angelica, what was it about being able to join this run club that created that third space?
I was really looking for community. I'm really big on community. The thing for me, so I work from home and I feel like I'm home like 24/7, if not out at one of the many clubs that they have here now. But I think what kind of I guess motivated me to stick with this club most is because of how friendly and kind they really were. I think I remember going the first time in July, and it was like a birthday celebration, and I showed up late, and for some reason they were still there. I think they were waiting for someone. And that to me was like a sign of like, okay, like I think I showed up like 30 minutes late and they were still there. And I was like, wow, they weren't waiting for me because they didn't know, I had no idea I was going, but it just kind of felt like a sign to come back. And then after I was done, I was like, cool, run is over. And I was actually walking away. And I remember one of the admin were like, hey, don't leave. We're actually going to go to a coffee shop. And then after that, that was when I was like, wow, this is nice. Like being able to have someone who's friendly, someone who's like interested in getting to know you a little bit better. So having that sense of community has always been super important for me. So I think this is a great club to be able to join and have that.
Absolutely. Being able to go ahead and just work from home, I definitely know the
Yeah.
feeling with regards, as stated in your intro, I talked about how you're a clinical social worker. I definitely know the feeling being both in the private practice setting as well as doing it through a telehealth setting.
Yeah.
I could definitely attest to it could get lonely
Yeah.
if it doesn't, if you're not able to go ahead and change that
Right.
environment. So I'm glad that you were able to go ahead and find that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what about for you, Angelica? What, being able to go ahead and engage in, I'm sorry, the Maris, that third space, what was that like for you?
So I also found it very hard getting myself motivated to attend the gym just because I never felt comfortable with my form, or there would always seem to be a machine that I needed that was not available. So then I would just kind of take that as a sign as, okay, it's time to go home. But with running, there really is no barrier. If there is, it's usually something that could be kind of either resolved with like a tool or by going with a friend. So a lot of my attendance really was like the consistency of my runs was motivated by the support system that the club created. So a lot of these girls also, they're going through the same thing. Like the gym might not be as motivating as it could be. And maybe some days they're just more tired than others. So when I saw someone else is going, then I'm like, okay, if they're tired and they've had a long day of work too, but they're still attending and they're still giving it their best, whatever that may be that day, that really resonated with me because I feel like, some days you have a really good workout, you have a really good pace and a good form and you just feel good. And there's other days where it's a challenge to keep going, but there was no put down, there was no making you feel bad or expectation of what you should be performing at. And I found that to be so efficient in my mental health because I think, whatever pace you're doing, you should feel welcome and there should be no pressure for that, for it to be a really stress relief and safe space for me there. So I feel like the club really created that environment for me.
And that's awesome because there are some individuals that may not necessarily be in the best shape going into, starting that workout. And yeah, and it sounds like there's a level for everyone. It could just come, you could run at 18, 20-minute pace and it'll be perfectly fine and without any sort of judgment from what it sounds like. Is that safe to say, Damaris?
Yeah, that's actually, we try to advertise that as much as we can. All paces are welcome. We have moms, we have kiddos who come and, we're not going to say, oh, you have to run a like 7-minute mile. That's not an imposition we want to put on them. So we just say, come out and have fun and, do what you can and enjoy it while you do it.
Awesome. So, Luz, I know that being able to talk about the mental health benefits, one could say that yes, exercise is great for you, but at the end of the day, it seems like it's just more than just endorphins and healthy mental health components. It seems like that what you have created is also a sisterhood aspect, specifically impacting mental resilience of your members. Am I accurate there?
I would say so. Just like I mentioned, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I really just wanted to meet other women. And, sometimes other women click more than other women, and that's okay. So I just wanted everyone to just have a space to also meet other people. And I'm really liking, like, I found really good friends and people that I can trust. So I definitely would say that we promote sisterhood. And I want that. I want people to have that.
Yeah, being able to go ahead and have that sisterhood-like environment. Did you think that, let's be very honest, did you think that only like 2 or 3 people were going to join and that would be good enough to go ahead and create a club? Or were you expecting it to go ahead and get this big?
I had no idea. And, for the first few months, it was only like 5 of us, like at the runs. And then I posted a reel on Instagram and that got a lot of interactions. And that's when we saw it grow. And then other people were posting it on TikTok, Instagram. So I really had no expectations, no idea. But I'm super grateful for everyone coming out.
Awesome. Angelica, as a social worker, being able to talk about endorphins, what are some of the great benefits that you're able to go ahead and see from being a runner?
Again, community. I think it's really important, especially with how much COVID really impacted a lot of us. I think being isolated is, one of the, I don't want to say one of the worst things, but for our mental health, it's not good. So being able to go out, build community, move and meet those, small or big milestones, I think it's definitely super important.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Can I also mention something?
Of course.
Kudos to Angelica as well because she started her own club. And so she's also starting a community. So that's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about your club.
I don't want to talk about it. No, just kidding. It's more, so I love to read. Well, lately I've been loving to read. My older sister actually is more of the reader. She would tell me, read all these books. But during grad school, I was like, if I read one more thing. So after, being done, I decided to like start reading, and I'm really big on audiobooks because I feel like it's so easy to just pop in an audiobook at any time, driving, running, just, day-to-day things. So I started an audiobook walk. And so we meet a few times a week and we listen to our own audiobooks and we walk for about like a mile or two at our own pace as well. And it's been nice. It's small, which I appreciate, but it's been nice.
That's awesome. It sounds like, again, being able to go ahead and have the physical activity as well as the self care of being able to go ahead and read slash listen to a book, which,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's all the same.
Right.
Yeah. So awesome. And then for you, Damaris, what was important regarding being able to go ahead and whenever you do run those endorphins that do kind of come out, are you able to kind of recognize that you feel different, feel better?
Yeah, so during runs, like those challenging and those hard ones versus those good ones, at the end of the day, I can always say, regardless of how hard the run felt at the end of the run, and especially looking at the mileage that was completed, I could always feel great about that no matter how hard it was or, how cold it was, how hot it was, that all the people around me also did the work to be out there. So it's not just the high of running and getting the exercise in. It was more so the socializing and the safe space, the judgment-free zone that we created, and really making it accessible as much as we can. We do try our best to take in feedback from other members of the club because, maybe one thing's working, maybe something's not. And for it to be an environment where everyone can kind of thrive in, we try to take in feedback to just make sure that it can be the best for everyone involved. And, everyone's a little different. So I know I've given my share of ideas and they've been listened to and implemented. So we try to create that for everybody else. And it shows that we listen.
For sure. As an occupational therapist, is running one of the activities that you recommend to your clients?
I most definitely do. A lot of my patients, clients, a lot of times they are fresh off an injury or some sort of medical crisis. So I wouldn't necessarily say go run 5 miles or something, but I do like to encourage them to just be active in general. So start walking and kind of progressively build up from there. Because regardless of where they're at, like age or, stage of recovery, movement in general is just going to help. It's going to do wonders on the recovery. And I've just on my short experience so far, I've noticed that a lot of patients, if they had a very active lifestyle prior to their injuries or their condition, their recovery it takes on a lot faster and it moves a lot quicker. So it might seem to them like, just common advice, like, get up and move. But from what I've experienced, it really goes a long way. So I try to implement it to a point where it resonates with them. So if walking's not necessarily their thing, then maybe like play pickleball or go golfing, that's still activity. It's still being outdoors. So just doing some sort of movement because it's going to benefit them for their recovery then, but also in the future.
Awesome. And Luz, does the run club do activities like pickleball or any other running activities, or is it strictly just distance running? And also, how many miles do you guys run in your club?
So we have incorporated Pilates with a studio here in Bakersfield, and we have not branched out to other activities, but that sounds really fun. I would love that for myself and bringing it to the club. We typically do run 3 miles, but we have incorporated more mileage. We call it process of elimination run, where we try to up our mileage. And also, I started this club to train for races together. So I know some of the girls will be running the half marathon and also the full marathon here in Bakersfield, and we have a training plan and things like that. So there's some girls that are definitely running more, but we try to make it accessible to most people. So we keep it at 3 miles, but yeah.
That's fair. And I feel that as I was kind of preparing for this interview, one of the things that I was thinking about was the trauma component when it comes down to running and how running could be healing towards individuals that actually do face any sort of traumatic experiences. And maybe this is something that Maris could also kind of like, be able to go ahead and back me up on this, because I feel I'm a very firm believer that our body is a keeper of the score that we go through. And I'm kind of curious if there's a rhythmic nature to running and walking in a group setting that may be able to go ahead and help heal the stress and trauma that may have existed, that maybe just sitting in a therapist office may not necessarily heal the same way. What would you say to that, Angelica?
Sorry. Well, when you brought that up, it reminded me of something that I read not too long ago, and I bring this up in a lot of my therapy sessions with my clients. Again, really big on community. I emphasize the importance of it because when we do experience trauma, a lot of the times we feel very isolated in the sense of like, I can't believe this happened to me. I'm dealing with this alone. And I remind my clients, like, we don't have to. The more we, I don't want to say normalize our experience, but the more we bring it up to light, the more we can recognize that there might be other people who have experienced similar, not exactly what we have gone through, but it helps us not feel like there's something wrong with me and I have to deal with this alone. But the thing that I was referring to earlier about reading something is I remember reading, I don't know if it was an article or if it was a post, but it talked about someone who was recovering from, I think it was like open heart surgery or something like that. And again, this is not correlated to running, but it goes back into community. But they were in a hospital room trying to recover, and their friends or their loved ones were creating like letters and sending it to them just about every day. And every time that they read it, it just kind of like lifted their spirit and it helped their recovery process a lot faster than what the doctors had anticipated. Going back to like trauma and community and the importance of that, if it wasn't for having the people, remind them like, you're going to get through this, like, we believe in you, get well soon kind of thing, it helped them speed up the process of their overall recovery. So with movement and with community and being part of groups like this, I think it's super important toward our mental health, towards any trauma that we might have experienced. Because again, sometimes not everyone is comfortable bringing things up, and I don't think that that's what we necessarily encourage, but sometimes after conversations we're checking in like, how are you doing, how's the run for you, how's your week going, things like that, and some of those conversations come up. So really great.
Yeah, for sure. And Luz, I'm kind of curious. I'm sure that being one of the founders, or if you're the founder, but I'm sure that
The
people,
found.
the founder, right? Yeah. So I'm sure being the founder allows individuals to go ahead and feel a little bit more comfortable with you. And then they find out that you're an MSW student. So they're trying to get some free therapy or, some free resource out of you. So I'm kind of curious if people have trusted you with some of their traumas and how your running group has helped them in some sort of way.
I do try to, and I am the founder of Girls from Bakersfield, and I do try to check in with girls, and I definitely have gotten to know girls better than others, and they have trusted me with certain things. I won't ever say names, but some people message me privately and have asked for help for like how to get a therapist and things like that. So I'm glad that I can be that resource for them. And I just, like I said, I really do try to make people feel safe and welcomed.
Awesome. And I know that Angelica brought up some of the physical aspects that kind of correlate with it. It all plays hand in hand. That's what I tell my clients, that the mental and the physical, they're all one. From an occupational therapist perspective, Damaris, how would you be able to go ahead and put a bow on what we're talking about and kind of conclude this?
So, in my experience, when we're running a lot, you can get repetitive use injuries. So, a lot of times you're like, my knee hurts. I don't know if this is normal, if this is just my body. And then kind of being in this club, it kind of creates that community. And so then you feel comfortable asking, like, does anybody experience this? And then for someone to say, like, hey, I've gone through this. This is what worked for me. You give this a try. Otherwise, I've heard this works. It kind of opens a trust between the two people or the group of people kind of communicating. And then I feel like that opens the door to further deeper conversation. So, those members who we have that come consistently and they say like, oh, I can't make it this week. And we say, yeah, we'll see you next time. And when we see them again, we say, hey, like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? We missed you out here. And they usually feel comfortable enough to kind of relate and just kind of unwind what has been going on. And in my experience, that's kind of how it is with like patients when they are in a lot of pain. They are usually limited by activity restrictions. So in my experience, I try to just say, hey, like, what you're feeling. It's, it comes unfortunately with your injuries and the situation you're in, but I have tools and strategies to kind of help you mediate those feelings and kind of make this process a little easier for you. And then once they kind of see like, oh, this strategy that you gave me worked really well, then it kind of opens the door for further and more trust in the process. And I think that's when patients can really thrive with the sessions and move forward. So I think a lot of that just kind of translates with trust. And our community has really put that as a forefront. Like, our runners can feel comfortable in coming in, trust that what we kind of say on our Instagram page is what we're going to do. And that's kind of what happens. And then it makes them feel comfortable. And that's how a lot of my patients I've seen kind of thrive, connecting that trust and mental battle with the physical. And then it just, looking holistically at the person, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, being able to go ahead and achieve something that may feel impossible in that moment from a physical perspective. So, yeah, I absolutely understand what you're talking about. It may not look like it, but I used to be a cross country runner back in the day. And honestly, and now I'm kind of getting back into this rhythm. So, one of my goals this year is to be able to go ahead and run a marathon. I'm not even close to it, by the way. Like, I'm not even going to lie. There's some. I could say that this was true back when I was in high school as a cross country runner, and even more so now as an LCSW, that there is something about being out of breath and being physically tired that breaks down our emotional walls. Have you noticed that people open up more about their lives a little bit more easier as the group has grown in comparison to what it was when you guys were kind of standing still waiting for people to go ahead and show up? Talk to me a little bit about that, Luz, and we'll, please feel free to, talk about it.
Yeah. So for sure, like for me, sometimes it was hard to put yourself out there and just wait for people to show up, but like I said, like at first it was like 5 of us. And to me, I never had a number, zero expectations. I just wanted to meet people and hopefully people showed up. So that's definitely, it puts you in a very vulnerable place. And running with these girls are faster than you. So that motivated me. And just being out of breath, and now I'm able to tell them things that I wasn't telling them before. And just being able to have people that you trust and building that.
Yeah. What about for you, the Maris, being able to go ahead and kind of like come into this group out of nowhere, and then do you feel like you feel more comfortable talking to people when you're done after the run and being able to say, whoa, like just allowing yourself to be more comfortable?
100%. This happened to me when I joined the initial run club. I knew no one there. And, during the warm up, they're being friendly, but I also don't know them. So I'm participating, but I'm also
But you're
kind of,
gauging people.
yeah, I'm shy. I'm like, okay, they seem intense. They seem like they might be at my pace. So I'm trying to like just kind of read the room to see where I might feel comfortable kind of reaching out and making a conversation, kind of starting a connection. But then every time after I finished, whoever I was running alongside or behind or in front of, and I know they're like, internally, I'm like pushing myself. I'm like, okay, I can keep up with them. Or man, they're leaving me behind, but look at their form. They're doing so well. And then at the end, as I'm trying to catch my breath, and I'm also trying to congratulate them, like, you did so well. Like, and then I feel like that just kind of opens the doorway to the whole conversation, and everything just feels normal after that. And I know at our run club, we have newcomers all the time. And, we try to make it, we say like, this is an open space for you. Like, we try to kind of explain everything, but at the end of the day, those are just words. They haven't really seen anything yet. But as soon as they're done, and then like everyone's thriving, everyone's conversating, everyone's just kind of loose and happy and just having a great time. It's always wonderful to see that at every one of our runs. In the beginning, everyone's just waking up, kind of warming up because it's really cold. But then at the end of the run, everyone's just conversating and having a good time. So it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, a couple things that I heard there. One, I really heard your competitive nature kind of come out. That's the truth. She's gauging people to go ahead and see.
She's definitely one of our competitors.
I just like to push a little sometimes.
And then there's also the notion of being able to go ahead and say something to another person that's running with you, doing it with you, and just not knowing anyone, being able to go ahead and kind of bring some of those walls down. And I'm sure that was true for you, Angelica, especially coming
Mhm.
from LA?
Yeah, I think being able to just run with a group. I know that we all start at the same time, and then there's some people who are a lot more competitive. I just want to do my own thing, and then I see people that I end up, I guess, finishing with at the same time and then telling them like, "Good job. You did really well. Like I was trying to keep up with you," kind of thing. So, we're definitely in a vulnerable state whenever we are running just because I feel like not everyone has mastered like breathing while running kind of thing, but I think it can be very helpful to just chat after.
Yeah, for sure. And then what about you, Luz? Are you now I'm kind of curious. Are you competitive?
Honestly, no. I am not a competitive person. I'm just like I'm just there for the vibes, like I don't feel like I'm a competitive person. Like we all go at our own pace and I really do tell myself that I don't feel like I need to go faster than someone else. So, yeah.
Gotcha. I'm actually going to put a quick pause on this. So, the next question that I have is I want to address a difficult reality that we live in a society where women often don't feel safe to go ahead and even get a workout done.
Mhm.
And whether it's at a park or at a gym, what I've kind of learned to realize is that a lot of times there are a lot of members in our community that are honestly creeps and they will engage in all sorts of harassment, whether it's like sending DMs or kind of whistling, kind of doing those like little cold calls or whatever they're called. What message do you have for these individuals who ultimately prevent women from being able to go ahead and have a safe space? And I'll start with you, Luz.
I just want to tell them to leave our members alone, leave us alone, please. That's also, a big reason why I wanted to do an all women run club. I just wanted all women to feel safe. I know there has been an instance where someone messaged one of our members saying it was very creepy, very inappropriate for us to open our club to men as well because it'll be like a great dating place, which is what I wanted to prevent. Women already have such a hard time going outside and feeling safe, so I just wanted again to for just them to come out and feel safe and not have any worries that someone will do that to them. I know for myself, I when I run by myself, I am very on the lookout, very
Like
paranoid.
you're
Yeah,
hyper vigilant.
for sure. Pepper spray and, have to carry certain things. So being in a group full of women, I wanted them to feel safe how I want to feel safe.
Have you ever had to use that for in any instance for your own safety or protection or for the protection of others?
I have not. And I'm hoping it stays that way just because, it's a very scary thing to experience. But no, I have not. But I take it for a precaution.
But the fact that you have to carry pepper spray, some people
Yeah.
carry tasers,
I
some
carry
people,
that as well.
yeah. So the fact that you have to carry that and I
Mhm.
don't, because for a number of reasons, I think I'm pretty, but it's different, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, women have there's a different, it's kind of like guys feel that they are entitled to the attention of women. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of off the wall to me. Damaris, what do you think when it comes down to this?
I totally agree with all of this. Some of the things that I used to not pay attention to in movies, now I kind of do. So just the other day, I was watching a show and then it was a female going out for a run at night. And I'm like, that is in no way true because I know I wouldn't do that. And I'm sure just women in general, even if we want to go for a run at night, we have pepper spray, we know we have this, we have that, but we also have to take certain measures. I know as much as I would like to go for a run by myself at night, even with all my tools, I still wouldn't feel 100% comfortable and confident that I would be kind of safe in that space. So it's just always something that I have to kind of plan around my runs. If I am going to go really early when it's dark, either in groups of two or more, if we're just females, or try to have at least one guy present. And, like, as Luce mentioned, I haven't had to use any of that. And I'm really grateful for that because it continues to be a safe space just running in general. But we have had, on social media, we post videos, we post TikToks, or, we run into other clubs who are co-ed, and there's always a comment here or a comment there, just kind of, it seems almost as if some men are just kind of bugged that we have a women-only space. And I think to them, sometimes they might seem that we're trying to exclude them, but that's never the intention. We're just trying to create a space where we don't have to be self-aware of what we're wearing, of what we're doing, how we look, how we feel, and just kind of go out for what it is, which is just a run. My message to them would be, we're doing our own thing. We're not bugging you right now. So it shouldn't bug you that we're out here, running to be healthy. And that's what we're doing it for. It's to be healthy, for our mental health, for our physical health. And, there's a time and place for everything. And I don't think when I go out for a run, I'm thinking like, I want to talk to this guy. I really want to just go kind of enjoy my run in the moment.
Absolutely. And what about you, Angelica? What are your thoughts when it comes down to that?
I definitely agree. I think having a group would be more safer, and that's another reason why I felt more comfortable joining this group, because you're right. Well, I mean, maybe I'm maybe I'm like oblivious to danger, but I don't bring anything for protection or anything, because in my mind I'm like, I can take them, or I can, but we can't be too sure. But yeah, I think kind of like they were mentioning, if it's too late, I won't go on a run. I don't even want to talk about an experience I had last week, but it was a club that did not wait for me after I told them, hey, I'm gonna be a little late, and it was like so dark, and I was so upset. But I know that would never happen here. But yeah, being able to just feel comfortable and safe in certain spaces and areas is definitely a priority. And my message would be, get out of here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not every situation requires a guy to go ahead and be present, and not every situation requires for everyone to go ahead and feel like, oh, well, you're entitled to go ahead and obtain their attention or their affection or whatever it may be. It's not like that. So yeah, I just feel like it's important to talk about this. But what about from another lens? Many women avoid exercise because of gym temptation, meaning that or gym intimidation, sorry, that gym intimidation, that they don't feel safe working out alone, whether it's at a park or even at a gym, because they feel that they don't have the right body type. How does Girls Run Bakersfield destigmatize the athletic image and make it feel inclusive for all body types and fitness levels? And we'll start with you, Luz.
I think I want to make it clear that when we say all paces are welcomed, it kind of ties into that. You don't need to be super fit. You don't need to be a certain size or anything like that. As long as you want to come out and run, like, please do so. And gym intimidation is a real thing. I know a lot of people that don't go to the gym because they feel judged if they are a bigger size, if they, don't look fit, which I don't understand, because people go to gyms, to better their, health or whatever their goal may be. So, I just really want to make any woman, feel like they're welcomed, and no matter their size, no matter their pace, no matter their fitness level, like, there's a place for them.
Awesome. What about you, Angelica? What are your thoughts are?
Sorry, I forgot what you
Yeah,
asked.
yeah, gym intimidation.
Oh, yes. Well, it's very much real. I think in my mind, I was reframing it more of comparison versus like what we actually physically look like. So I think there might be a little bit of a misconception there, or maybe that's just like the way that I interpret it. I think it's more of comparing ourselves, and in this club that's not well, I assume that's not what happens. I know that we maybe might compare ourselves when it comes to like, maybe this person had a faster pace, but we motivate each other to say, I want to do more. So, I mean, I used to actively go to the gym a lot, but with running now, I think for me, it's about community. I am not motivated to go to the gym by myself, not because of gym intimidation, but more of just like, I would rather be with someone there, and having the group of girls here or women here at the run club makes it a lot more fun and motivating.
Yeah. Your thoughts on that, Damaris?
I do believe gym intimidation is real. And I have only recently realized that it can be thing for running too. We try to make it a safe space. So we say all paces are welcome, and we try to incorporate that to all of our runs. So we'll have our 3 mile run option, but we'll also have our walk option. Not to say that, like, oh, if you're slow, walk, but it's more like, if you're taking an easy day today, or if you do want to walk, it's more than okay. And we've checked the route for you. And this is, you can do 1.5 miles, and this is where you can go to do that. So we try to just keep it open, not like, oh, you have to run 5 miles today. There's always an option to do a little less, do a little slow, to do a little, just a breather day. And I know I am competitive in the pace. It's never about the looks. I don't necessarily correlate speed with a certain body image or body type. I think everybody's sorry. I think everybody's body reacts differently to, it's again, I try to look at a person holistically. So it's not just, are you working out? Are you running? Are you eating well? It's more so the whole thing. Like, why are you running? For me, I get motivated. I try to better my time here and there, especially for certain distances. And if anyone is trying to do that too, then I say, okay, let's do it, So I try to um, hop off them. Like if they're saying like, oh, I'm doing 3-day training this week, I'm like, okay, if that's working for you, I kind of want to try it too. So kind of keeping it open-minded. I feel like I never try to do that because I know we all have our issues with like, maybe I don't feel comfortable in this or I don't look the best in that, but I try to keep it an open space, really, because I know I've had my own challenges with I don't feel the best during this time or I don't look the best. But at the end of the day, I'm still going out to run, not just for the physical benefits, but for the mental health benefits. And we try to keep it free for that reason, because I feel like once there's kind of a price tied to it, then it kind of insinuates like, oh, you have to do it like 5 times to make your money profits out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping it free, keeping it pace open, just a free running space for everyone, I think kind of removes that whole intimidation from our club and our community, because we want it to be something that's enjoyable all around, not just by some.
And I want to bounce off of that. It was really important for me to have a club that is free, accessible for, I do want to say most people, because running is a very expensive sport. I will say that, running shoes are not cheap. So yeah, like I just want people to have access to it and make it free, make it open to women. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think being able to go ahead and have a space in which, I mean, because yes, it is expensive. So on top of that, we have to pay for all these subscriptions. So, we have our Netflix, we have our Hulu's. Why pay for our runs? So I'm glad that you guys have been able to go ahead and ensure that happened for the community of Bakersfield. And anyone, this is a run club in Bakersfield, but for anyone that may be listening and may want to go ahead and get some inspiration from this, being able to go ahead and kind of do this yourselves, it's an awesome opportunity. But in therapy, we talk about, especially to our clients, the stages of change. And when it comes down to the stages of change, for women that may be listening, I'm posting this episode at the end of January. I mean, it's been a month, but there may be some individuals that may be in that pre-contemplative state, some individuals that may be in the contemplative state when it comes down to going out for a run, meaning that they may be thinking about starting, but there's some sort of paralyzation or fear that may be preventing them from being able to go ahead and get motivated to go ahead and start that run. What is a collective pitch, or what message do you have for these women that may be in these stages, Luce?
I will say it's never easy, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Even if it's just around your house, just going doesn't even have to be a mile, doesn't have to be running, just jogging, just starting. I know it's easier said than done to just say just start, but that's really my message, to just start, because I was contemplating starting this club. So I'm super happy that I just did it, And like I said, I've never been a runner. I started running in December of 2024. So I just decided to run, and it was scary because I was like, what if I'm super slow? What if I you have all these thoughts. So my message to them would just be like, just start. We all start somewhere.
Gotcha. So don't allow the intrusive thoughts to win. Yeah. All right. What about you, Damaris?
I would say give it a try. I think a lot of times the fear is just like, oh, I don't know if it will suit me, or maybe I'm going too slow, maybe I'm going too fast. So again, the intrusive thoughts just kind of start to pile up. So there will always be a reason why not to try it. But I would say give it a try, because kind of like trying a new food, you're not going to know if you like it if you don't try it. So kind of missing like you're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but really finding a pace, a goal that you're comfortable with. So if your goal is to be fast, then, work on sprints. Or if you're really just trying to find something to clear your mind with, then go for a scenic jog. So kind of really setting like a realistic and attainable goal for yourself. Not saying I'm going to go run 7 miles right off the start when I've never run before. So really just giving it a try and giving like a thought, like kind of planning it out. Like it's my first time, maybe just 2 laps around the block and see how that feels. And if it's with your vibe, then keep it going. It'll connect with you if you just give it a shot.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you, Angelica? What would you say to that?
I think this is a good question because I think I was in that contemplative phase in the beginning because I think I found out about the club when they did the Run Against Ice and I so badly wanted to go and I had put in my calendar. I just didn't wake up. And that was like my issue. But I don't remember when exactly that was, but that was one of the like promoted runs that made me want to join. And I think it was maybe like a month or so after that I finally joined. But I think it's the idea of like just show up. Just show up even if you're just gonna walk. Just show up even if you're gonna do like half a mile, whatever it might be, the full 3, more than that, because we often do get in our heads a lot. And it, as we know, like as therapists, like it can be a very challenging thing to get out of our heads or be our own barrier, I guess. So, just do it.
Yeah, being able to go ahead and just going out and doing it. What I tell my clients is simply go out and walk the block twice. If you walk the block twice, that will go ahead and allow you to go ahead and at least release some of those endorphins, allow your body to go ahead and sweat, feel a little bit of discomfort. When you allow that discomfort to go ahead and be present, then you'll be able to go ahead and allow that pre-contemplation to change into contemplation. That contemplation will then allow you to go ahead and get into preparation. So as Luz was talking about, then the shoes come in. Being able to go ahead and get a fit is a huge thing that will go ahead and allow a sense of confidence to go ahead and kind of come out. Now you recognize that you've spent a little bit more money on yourself than you probably intended to. So now it's worth going out for that run. And you go out for that run, that those 2 blocks change into a mile. That mile changes into 2 miles, 3 miles, and so on and so forth. And being able to go ahead and go back and not run those 2 miles, 3 miles, and just go back to that 2 blocks that you started in the very beginning is a good thing because you don't want to go ahead and get in a stage where you're going to fully regress to a point where you're going to stop. Because the moment that you stop moving is when it all kind of comes back, those unhealthy habits. And I just encourage everyone to go ahead and create and just allow some time to go ahead and be invested in yourself, whether it is 30 minutes to an hour on a single day. And I know I'm one of the busiest people that I know. I sleep about 5 to 4 hours per day. And that is by design. And that is a current problem, but it is a current problem because I'm also invested in these runs. So doesn't mean that that's always going to go ahead and be it, but there are a lot of times that one has to go ahead and sacrifice. So any thoughts when it comes down to that? And I'll start with you, Angelica.
Thoughts on what exactly?
Just being able to invest in yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so important. I think a lot of the times we navigate in maybe like people pleasing and do everything else for everyone else and not ourselves. So this is a good way to do that. Again, it doesn't have to be running. It can be anything. It could be my audiobook walk. I'm just kidding. It
Absolutely.
can be anything, right? It can be just anything that you enjoy or maybe haven't done in such a long time. I think this ties together to like self-care. I'm so big on self-care, and self-care can look different for a lot of different people. Whatever it is, whatever you enjoy, maybe something you haven't done in a really long time, and maybe that might be running. So join this club.
Yeah. And then what about you, Damaris? What do you think when it comes down to investing in yourself?
I think we are evolving people. I think growth in general is something that we are always going to continue to do. And an investment in ourselves can look different from one year to another. So I think really changing for the better, not necessarily to look better or to be in a better financial situation is what I mean by growth and investment. What I mean by that is kind of taking a look at what is like problematic in your schedules, something that's a barrier for yourself. And, sometimes it's not easy to change that or to modify it from one day to another, but being just aware of that and moving towards what you want to do is such a great thing to do. And it's honestly the biggest investment we could do in ourselves because if you're okay, then, your outlook on life, everything you do just becomes okay and you kind of maneuver through life a lot better. So I think our club is constantly growing. We like to get input from all of our members. We like to get input from ourselves and then just kind of take a look back inwards and see what we can do to better ourselves is something that is just you can always do for yourself.
Absolutely. And then Luz, any thoughts there?
Yeah, so I really love to invest in myself. um, being in the field that we're in of social work, it is really important to take care of yourself to be able to deliver the best service that we can to our clients. And also just in a personal level, I believe it's really important. And for me, investing in myself looks like, trying to eat healthy meals and moving my body, whether that be weight training or running or trying out a new class, things like that. So that to me is really important because I have noticed it does make a very big difference in the way I perform and the way I show up for myself when, professionally, even personally with my family and things like that. So I always make time for myself. And I'm also one of the busiest persons I know. So it's really important for me to invest in myself because if I'm not taking care of myself, how am I going to take care of others?
Absolutely. As we wrap up our episode, any final pieces of advice that you would want our listeners to take away from today about destigmatizing mental health through community and movement? What would that be, Luz?
I will say that there's help out there. If you feel comfortable, coming to me or even reaching out to Ramon or others in the community for your mental health. And if you want to improve your mental health through movement, and if you're a woman, you should come out to one of our runs or to Angelica's book club, walking club, book and walk club. So, whatever makes you feel better and just knowing that you're not alone and there's so much help out there. So yeah, that's my message.
The bodies?
I would say, in relation to our club that, a lot of people believe running has to be for the looks, for the space, for, just the physical aspects, but there's so much more to it that could be improved for like your mental health and just your overall well-being, all the benefits of that and just the community that it creates. So whether it be running or audiobook walk club, find your community, find your space, and just kind of give that a try. The fear is always kind of going to be something that may scare you from trying it, but there's always something there that's going to be there to benefit you more. So give it a try.
I always like to mention that as important as our physical well being is, so is our mental health. And if one is not good, then the other one might follow. And we need to find a good balance between that. And if it's not therapy, find something that can be therapeutic, which can be, a club, community, finding your own space, showing up for yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. No matter whether they want this change more for you, you have to make that choice. And that's a good way to show up for yourself.
Absolutely. Luz, how can people find you, your club? How could people reach out to you to learn more?
Yeah, so you could find us on Instagram. It is at Girls Run B. And also we have a Facebook, the same at Girls Run B or Girls Run Bakersfield. And yeah, that's how you could find us. If you're interested in joining our runs, you just simply show up. You can follow us and we update our locations because we do switch them up every month.
Gotcha. And how many times a month or what days do you normally meet?
So right now we are meeting Saturdays. We cut down from a day week just because it's getting darker. It gets dark really early. So be on the lookout for more runs. But right now, Saturdays.
Gotcha. And any final thoughts? I think we're good. Angelica, I definitely want to invite you back to talk about your club as well, if you'd come back. But
Mhm.
yeah, any final thoughts?
I have a final thought. I think, again, this is such a great community. From the first time that I joined has been great. All the girls are super nice, sweet. I don't think we've ever had well, I think we had like in the group chat, but it was more like dismissed. But It's such a great club to build community, find friendships, challenge yourself. I think it's such a great opportunity to, have such a great group of women in admin as well.
Awesome. Final thoughts, ladies? We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. So that was Destigmatized Mental Health Podcast, Season 5, Episode 2, highlighting Girls Run Bakersfield with Luz Almanza, Angelica Savino, and Damaris Herrera. You can listen to this podcast and other episodes of Destigmatized Mental Health Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.